custom handmade billet aluminum cylinders. Titanium intake valves so big they won't even fit in a stock cylinder head. Billet steel rocker arms, and a cartoon level compression ratio. Sit back, relax, and we'll go over it all. Boy, welcome to the Flat Track Factory. It's a magical day for a racing geek like me. Look what we've got. Just dropped off from General Engineering. The twin to my B motor, the A motor. Jerry doesn't like that. It's just, they're the same in his mind, but I gotta call it something. So let's unpackage it and maybe talk about some of the differences I've been promising. Oh, no, 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 not one of these. Damn yellow sheet. Oh, man. I don't want to touch it. Here, let me put my wallet outside. I don't want my wallet to see this. Okay. This dirty damn trick. Oh, 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 no, oh no. Oh, wow, that was terrible. Okay, on a more serious note, this is the hot setup. We've done this the wrong way, every way I could think of. The cooler is the way to go. I don't know why it took so long to figure this out, but Jerry told me to do this many years ago, and this is just an amazing solution. Really recommend finding a cooler, especially the one with the handle and wheels. Usually the shipping guys will break those off, but sometimes they don't, and this one, for whatever reason, has lasted a bunch of trips, and this particular one unfortunately discontinued, otherwise I would tell you which one it is. Here is tracking tag, air tag to track it, and a new starter drive. This particular engine, one sticks out a little bit. I guess he has two kits. I was crying about that, so he sent me that, and a nice Denso Iridium racing plug that we're going to use for this cartoon compression motor here. This has come back with more compression ratio, and there's been a heated debate about what to use. And here is him telling me how not to screw this up. Yeah, so Q16 is real resistant to detonation, also carries oxygen, makes great power. Unfortunately, it tears up petcocks and any of the seals in the carburetors, so I don't like it. It makes the whole procedure coming away from the racetrack, you know, you have to flush it out and then fog down the engine. We got to fog down the engine anyway, but get it out of the petcocks. I mean, it's just, it stinks. It can't be good for you. So I really like to run non-oxygenated, you know, pump gas, you know, C12, you know, what 112, 116, something octane leaded race fuel. But the Q16 has even higher octane and carries a bunch of oxygen, which causes problems. So it would have been nice to have like a, you know, practice fuel or short track fuel, but we're just not going to be able to do that here and keep things safe, I think. So that's where we are on that. One day I got smart and learned it's a lot easier to not pick the engine out of here. Have some ropes on these things through this cylinder head mounts, and it just kind of comes right out. Put it on the rubber here. easy, no fuss. Let you in on a little factory secret. This being on the steel shoe side of the engine, really no good way to keep this looking factory fresh. So we just use some Sharpie and touch it up. Looks good coming by. These are our two new covers, new old stock. Dave Valquette at Ron Wood Racing up in Michigan. He took over, bought what was left of Ron Wood Racing after Ron passed, and still able to get some good parts. Super nice guy, very kind to me. We're actually working on a fun project maybe I'll be able to tell you about later. Well, I'll tell you now. Uh-oh, got a little carried away there. Try to do a block-off plate for the right side of these motors, since we don't have all of the charging electrical stuff. These race engines have, from Elliott Power Sports, a modern ECU with a total loss battery, so we have the guts out of them, and I think it would look trick to have a billet low profile plate on the right side. Just nerdy stuff that I think about. I guess when other guys are going fishing or whatever it is normal people do, I think about how I can make Rotax look badass and haul ass. Now for the part you probably want to get down to. What makes a Rotax into a flat track racer? And there's quite a bit. You know, sometimes I'm not even sure that I know what a non-racing Rotax is. You know, some of the footage I've shown you already, and I'll try to put in again. We have a vent back on the case here. I don't think that's normal. We run a little breather there. And I showed you the adjustable cam pulley. It's underneath here to get our cam timing just right. And a remote starter drive assembly from Jerry is kind of the premium kit. Some of them use I don't know, the female end of a 1/2-inch socket. I don't think that's very factory looking, but it works. You really don't want to push start a large single with high compression if you don't have to. We used to all the time. That was normal. Some people say you just can't push start a big single, and our joke is you can't, but it can be done. It's just not as much fun as just using the remote starter. So that's kind of standard. We run a modern ECU with adjustable ignition timing and a rev limiter. And that requires an onboard battery, and I have in both of these motors all of the stator and all that stuff removed because we just don't need it. So that's what goes on the right side. Up here we have a crankcase vent, or really rather a rocker box vent that goes up into the neck of the frame. The oil is in the frame on these motors with the dry sump system. Okay, both of these engines have something that's pretty unusual in that they are billet cylinders. This one over here, we'll call the B motor, has the original one from Jerry back when I was a teenager. And I think he did it, I don't know, early 90s, I believe. I kind of forget the years. But the rules then for the AMA bikes were it had to have the stock cylinder. So his solution to running a billet cylinder, which thunder. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. It's a pretty bad storm, but I want to get this done for you. The solution to get away from the cylinders going out around on the miles in particular, when they just get hotter and hotter and hotter, was to have a bigger, I guess, thermal mass. So he bored a 6-inch hole in the fins of a stock cylinder, put a billet chunk in there, bored it out, and then an iron sleeve. So that was a stock cylinder. Kind of a fun trick. Every once in a while somebody would notice it and would get real cranky, and there was some protesting or threats of protests. It's a pretty cool distraction to get people wrapped around the axle. I liked it. Now, this engine has the modern interpretation of that. Jerry built a kit kind of on this motor, or from this motor, where I kept pestering for the next step, and then he prototyped this cylinder head design that he now has produced kits of, and I think there's a few left that included, I believe, the cylinder head, flowed to his specifications with some new technology. The ports on these are completely different. And the billet cylinder, if you look at this, it's just massive. The fins are handmade. There's extra beefy and thick. Just gives it a super mean look, and obviously, stays in round and deals with the heat a little better. So that's pretty cool. Then, the back of this cylinder has both these have long intakes. This one's, the fins are actually milled flat. There's some really complicated stuff that, it's probably not complicated. It's complicated to me because I'm a dummy. But the intake manifold is integral to the flow of the head, and the port shape on this one is much, it looks to me anyway, lower and wider, with some epoxy in the short side radius, where this style of head was originally a Darcy head from about 10, 12 years ago. That was, the hot setup back then, and just time moves on, and I bitch and I want more things. So when you look down these cylinders, they look different. This is just bigger, and this one is shorter and wider, and all has to do with port velocity, I guess, really over my head. This engine, you'll see, has a external oil line, because the way this head was built, the valves get moved out on these heads. Just about 39, 40, 41 millimeter intake valves. 37 and a half is considered big. In order to get them even bigger, you have to do radical things. This one is an all titanium motor, all titanium valved motor, actually out of I believe out of a Honda IndyCar, if I'm not mistaken, and billet rocker arms, which I think I showed you. But in order to do that, an oil port gets interfered with, has to be plugged off. So to get oil to the rocker box, this has an external line to do that. This cylinder head does not have that situation with the way it was designed, for whatever reason, again, over my head. But it does not have the external oil line for oiling the rocker box. And this also has a set of billet rockers. These rockers are by Dave Ellicott at Ron Wood Racing. They are available today. And these rocker arms are from Darcy Racing from about 10 years ago, and I don't know if he's still in business. The weak part of this engine, in my opinion, is the clutch. Jerry says it's fine for making 35 horsepower, but we're still able to run up front and beat all comers. The track's right and the rider does his job. It's just way overpowered, the clutch. Even though these are considered the big clutch versions of this, it's not big enough. And they just can't take the heat. And to come off the line with the modern bikes that just have such great clutches, from Honda and KTM, I've been bitching and bitching and bitching. Really, they can only take one or two, maybe just really one hard launch, and the thing has to cool down. If you do another one, you're going to kill the clutch. They'll warp the plates, or just put enough heat and friction into them that it changes the frictional coefficient of the plates forever, and it'll never come back. I'll bitch. Jerry will pull the plates out, measure them, they're fine, but they're not. They're just not. So it's really 2 clutches a year, which is a hassle because it's behind the belt and the pulleys and all that. So, and me complaining, Jerry did a really cool trick. I don't think this is really anything he wants to do anymore. I don't know if anybody else does it, but both of these have pressure oiled clutches, and that's the external line here on the back of the engine. So it's coming out from the oil filter boss, I guess, oil filter compartment. And that oil line goes into the side of the engine to pressure oil the clutch through the through the transmission shaft that he EDM drilled. Pretty cool. It's a fun story to tell, and it definitely reduces the heat and changes the oil flow characteristics of the engine, actually. So it's pumping a lot of oil in there, and I think that helps out a little bit. That's pretty cool, pretty trick looking thing. That attracts a lot of attention. Okay, this engine has a close ratio transmission. So first is moved up and fifth is moved down. We used to shift these on a mile when we were in the 614 configuration for that rules package. It was kind of hit or miss as to it worked. These shift like a dump truck, so you're actually losing a little bit of drive. So if you're drafting, staying in fifth gear, the guy shifts, you can kind of get a bike length on them. So I'm not really sure that it was a good idea. I didn't do it most of the time, but that's how this bike was set up. And first, like I said, is moved up. Maybe second too. I forget. I might look at that and put that in the comments later. My gearing, I run a lot of third and fourth gear tracks, and my gearing is considered to be pretty tall, and I'll let you decide why that might be. This engine's got a lot of titanium bolts on it, just for trickness. This one doesn't. It's kind of bothering me, but that's an expensive hobby, and I'm not sure it has much benefit other than it's super cool. We have the Kickstarter is eliminated out of these engines. It's actually kickstarted off the left side. I've never done it, wouldn't want to try. I don't think it would even be possible in a race configuration. I've never seen anybody do it, and I don't want to be around if they're going to. So that whole drive is eliminated. Then Jerry has a little eliminator kit, piece of aluminum machined or something. I'm not sure exactly. Used to run a two-piece shift shaft because I fell off all the time and kept snapping them off. But I decided falling off was a bad idea, so we eliminated that. This engine has steel valves in it, actually. And actually are a little bit smaller than this, which kind of like, you don't gain the bragging rights when you go smaller intake valves and not titanium, but this engine makes more power than this one. We're gonna find out exactly. Well, actually, we don't know how much power this makes. I know how much power this cylinder head made. Whoa. Oh, I think we're done filming for a while. And the lights just blew out in my studio. I'll have to get back to you. I can kind of tell this video is not going to get a lot of views because the harder I work on it, it seems like the less popular it is. And this is like 4 days in. Big thunderstorm last night. I thought it blew out my lights. They made crazy noises, but they're working. I think I was telling you about the horsepower differences, torque differences we're going to expect out of these engines when the lights went out. This cylinder's been around since I was a teenager. This is the updated version of this. This head is, new 10, 12, 15 years ago. This is, 2 years ago. But the compression ratio on this is way up. So this engine was run before, but it's a new bottom end. The long story, not short apparently, sorry, is we kind of expect to know what this engine is going to do. It's been together in this configuration before. It's just got a brand new lower end. So I think it's safe to say that we know this is going to do, but we're going to test it anyway for fun and just break it in, make sure it's leak checked and all that sort of stuff, and then put it away for B motor or whatever else I decide to do with it. Now, this motor is fairly similar to what it was in the past, with the exception that I really pestered Jerry for more, and we think he did it, but with the configuration that we have now, as far as the cylinder head goes, we're expecting no more horsepower. Torque, however, we expect to go up because we've raised up the compression ratio to kind of like Wile E. Coyote numbers, really kind of unheard of for an air-cooled engine. And I mentioned the fuel requirements that we're going to try to make that work. So yeah, we'll see. we'll do it and see. And you know, we're always hoping for more. And be reliable, of course. You know, that's one of the hallmarks of our program is it's one thing to be fast for a lap or an evening, but we've been pretty successful, you know, to be fast, you know, all year long and be reliable. If you've made it this far and enjoyed the video, consider supporting the channel financially with the super thanks down below. There's also instructions in the description on how to do that, and some t-shirts for sale. Now YouTube is going to put up some other videos that you might not have seen from the back catalog. Thanks for watching.